Hey everyone, this is my review of the Husqvarna 125BVX handheld leaf blower. Some basic stats on the machine. It is a 28cc engine that makes about 1.1 horsepower. It weighs about 9.6 pounds, and the performance is about 425 CFM at 170 mile an hour of speed at the tip. It's a pretty simple, common layout on it. You have your throttle control on the top. Next to it you have a cruise control for the throttle, as well as a momentary rocker. And on the back of the unit you have the primer for the fuel system, the air cleaners behind here, and then you have the choke here on the bottom, fuel tanks on the back, and then the pull starts on the side. It comes from the manufacturer with two different tips available. You have this tip is designed more for velocity or air speed, whereas the tip I have on is designed more for air volume. And each tip has adjustments on for different heights, so if you're tall or short you can adjust the nozzle for whatever length you want. Now this is a pretty simple machine, but it is still very effective. I actually use this probably more than any of my other Husqvarna products. I consider this to be a very good maintenance blower. If you have a lot of small jobs you need to do, like after you cut the lawn you may need to clean off the driveway, the walkway, the porch, dust buildup, things like that. This is perfect for that. It's small, it's lightweight, it's very fuel efficient, and if you don't have a very small job where you don't want to lug around a backpack blower, this is great for that. Kids can safely use this thing. It's not too heavy, it's not overly powerful. So it's a good machine that anybody can use for the majority of your small maintenance jobs. Now, that's what it's good for. What it's really not good for is if it's say fall or the spring and it's time to clean up all the leaves on the lawn. If you have a pretty big lawn like I do and you're getting a lot of leaves during the beginning and end of the season, this thing's not really designed for that. You can do a large lawn and a lot of leaves with this, but it's going to take you significantly longer than a backpack blower. This is going to give you about half the performance of a good sized backpack blower, so it's really not designed for large jobs. But if you have a really small yard and not a ton of leaves, it will work for that. And like I said, it's fuel efficient, it's easy to handle, it's not overly bearing, it doesn't become heavy or cumbersome if you're using it for long durations of time. And I probably use this more than any of my Husqvarna products. Every time after I cut the lawn, I use it to clean things off. I clean the mower off with it. It's great for that. Now this comes as just the 125BV, but this is the BVX. This also has a mulching or vacuum feature to it. I turn it over on the side. This door is spring loaded, and if you see on the impeller here, there is a metal blade on there. That makes this capable of being a vacuum type blower as well as a traditional leaf blower. So if you're looking for that feature, this also has that on it. I'll go ahead and I'll configure it into the vacuum mode and show you what that looks like. With the unit now set up in vacuum mode, it's very easy to handle like this. The discharge now becomes the chute for the bag. You have a shoulder strap on here you can put over your shoulder. The bag is actually pretty big, and as is the inlet tube for it. It's very, like I said, it's very easy to handle when it's set up like this. It's not overly heavy or cumbersome. This becomes one handle, and then on the bottom you would use this as the other handle to hold it up. It has a compaction rate of 16:1, so in theory if you had, say, 16 yards of leaves, that would take it down to 1 yard of leaves. The positives with this is the performance is actually a lot better than I thought it would be. I did not expect this thing to have nearly as much vacuum power as it did, but when you put this thing at full throttle, it will stick to the ground when you're at full throttle on flat surfaces. So the performance is actually very good. It does have a very strong vacuum power. What you need to be careful when you're using this is you really don't want to suck up anything other than leaves. It does have a plastic impeller, even though it does have the metal mulcher on the front. The impeller is just plastic, and if you start sucking up rocks and sticks, you can run the risk of damaging the impeller itself. This thing is best used for smaller amounts of leaves, more the same way you use the blower as a maintenance blower. This is more maintenance just for small leaves. If you have leaf buildups in flower beds or mulch beds, if you have the buildup of leaves on basement walkouts or your basement windows, basically anything that's below grade where things and leaves kind of collect, but it's not easy to get them out, and you can't use the blower to get them out. This is perfect for that. This is exactly what I use this thing for. My basement steps outside constantly get filled up with leaves, and I can't get them out with my blower, so I either would have to manually pick them up or use this. This is very efficient, it's very effective, and the performance is surprisingly good for a very simple basic handheld blower converted into a vacuum attachment. So I do highly recommend this machine, and I have one more option that I got for this machine that I want to show everybody. All right, and the final accessory I want to cover is the gutter kit that's available for this. It does not come standard with any of the models. It is an option only. The unit itself is about 9.5 feet. Now, I cheated and I added one additional section to mine because some of my roofs are a little bit tall, so I need that one extra piece that I ordered just to extend it up enough to get to all my roofs. I also added a piece of angle aluminum I got from a local home improvement store with some clamps. The main reason I did that is because under full throttle, all the tubes will tend to sway a little bit under full throttle, so I did that basically just to stiffen the unit up. And it does have the nozzle on the top, and on the bottom it does have a swivel collar. This is a pretty inexpensive accessory, and I definitely recommend this. If you have a single-story house, you should definitely get this if you have this blower, by all means. Two-story houses, you're probably not going to be able to do two-story houses. You'd have to get at least 2 sets of the kits to get the distance, and at that point I think it would be too long and cumbersome to be viable. But for single-story houses, the performance of this thing is surprisingly good. I was a little concerned that by the time the air got all the way to the end of the nozzle that it really wouldn't have a lot of force left. I was surprisingly wrong about that. It still has a tremendous amount of power when the air comes out of the top, and it has no problem blowing all the junk out of the gutters, so now you don't have to break out a ladder, manually climb up and do the gutters. I can do my entire house in probably about 5 minutes, do all the gutters just walking around. It's a very capable option, and you should definitely get it if you have this machine with a single-story house. It makes it a lot easier and a lot safer and a lot more convenient to clean out your gutters. So, and you can modify this the same way I did if you notice that it sways kind of a lot when you have it at full throttle, but it's still very manageable. It's not very heavy with a simple piece of angle aluminum on it. It swivels very nicely on the bottom with not a lot of effort, and it is very manageable. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.